Hey guys, welcome to Keep It Spiritual with myself, Chris Meredith. Now today I bring you an interview with numerologist, the lovely Sonia Ducie. Now Sonia has spent her whole life working with numbers, understanding them as well, and kind of on a spiritual level as well. So if you're someone that's fascinated by numbers, maybe you see numbers 11, 44, 22, 33 all together and you always think, what does that mean? What does my date of birth mean? You know, Sonia Ducie has spent the majority of her life working with numbers. Now, I got the chance to sit down with her and have a chat with her about her brand new book, which is called A Practical Guide to Numerology. So if you're just starting out on learning all about numbers, or you're just fascinated by them and you want a fascinating new read, make sure you pick up the lovely Sonia Ducie's book right now. But in the meantime, here is myself and the lovely Sonia Ducie talking about fabulous numerology. So hi Sonia, welcome to Keep It Spiritual. How are you doing today, my lovely?
Very good, thank you. Yes, good. Considering.
I know. As long as you're good, that's the main thing, Sonia. Good. So first of all, Sonia, what's been your spiritual journey with numerology?
Well, my dad was a mathematician and a scientist. And I think from being an early child, I loved science. I took science rather than needlework at school. And I've always been interested in cycles, in movement, in change. And then when I was young, my dad used to do things like help me with all my mathematics homework, and he had books on Pythagoras. And so I've always been interested in numbers. And then when I was, I think it was 31, through some friends who'd all had, their children all had numerology readings, I discovered this lady, Claudine Agata, who owns the Kennesaw School, her principal, she started or founded the Kennesaw School. I heard about this lady giving readings with numbers, and I thought, what? She's talking in numbers. So I went along for reading, and it was about 3 hours, and that's why I said literally the light dropped in. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life, because so numbers are something that found me, but I've always loved cycle, rhythm, movement, looking at night and day, birth and death. I think my favourite book, I remember this, I was given the 365-day yearbook when I was an infant. And it was my most treasured book, because every day there would be something new about each day in that book. So I kind of always liked it. But I was very psychic and intuitive as a child, telepathic, all the things were just let's call it a sensitive child. So when I found out that there's an intuitive side to numbers, that you can gaze at a number and go beyond everyday reality and connect with some higher energy behind, that blew my mind. And that's when I met Claudine and discovered, you know, there wasn't this black and white element of numbers like with science and mathematics, but they're fluid, they're moving, they're energies. And they can take, you know, they give you information, you get knowledge, wisdom, information from experience of numbers. So, yeah, that's how I got into it. It was really by accident. And then my friends owned a massage and reflexology school in London, because I was actually doing reflexology healing massage. And I said, why don't you come and teach a course in London and, you know, form a school? And she'd already been teaching 15 years astrology, numerology, tarot, and was a healer, teaching people to be healers. So I think she had all that esoteric wisdom, and that's what I found fascinating, the deeper elements that one can access through intuition, through numbers.
It's so exciting, Sonia. It really, really is. And great, you know, to hear your journey, how you've kind of come into, you know, numerology. So, I mean, you wrote over 12 numerology books as well, and you teach on the subject, Sonia. So for anyone that doesn't know, first of all, what is numerology?
Numerology is really about cycles. So if we look at day and night as one cycle, the seasons cycles, although the seasons now are merged into one, and birth and death is a very big cycle. So you have cycles within cycles. So for example, within 124 hours, 24-hour cycles. You have day and night. And then within an hour, you have 60 minutes. So everything is cycles, and rhythm and movement and sound. That's all there is in life. So with numbers, each number 1 to 9 is a cycle. And each cycle gives you a potential for new experience. But each cycle, so number 1 is new beginnings, 2 is weighing up balance, 3 is expansion, communication. So each cycle will bring you new elements to new experiences to work with, but also give you wisdom from when that number has influenced us in the past. So let me give you an example. So each number contains strengths, contains challenges, the shadow aspect, and infinite creative potential. And then when we look at the qualities assigned to each number, but also we learn about the qualities through studying the cycles ourselves. So I say to people, look at what happens in your life. Write down the dates in your life when significant things have happened, and you'll start to see a repetition of 1 or 2 numbers. And these numbers you may have already noticed these numbers. So anyway, so then we use numerology to apply it to a date of birth. So when you look at the day, the month, and the year you were born, and then you add it up, you get the life path number. Each element of that chart gives you different information about the behavior, about your rhythm, about the soul aspiration, which is your life path, your inner purpose. And then from the birth names, each letter can be transcribed into a number from the alphabet. It's described into the numbers 1 to 9. And again, you can look at the cycles we look at karma, we look at the inner soul aspiration, what energies you've brought in. Your names really represent the karmic work you've been working with for a while. And so, there's every different aspect of a name. And then what most people in numerology in magazines look at is the personal year number. And the personal year number gives you the cycle of influence that is needing to be looked at or exposed each year from one birthday to the next. So we look at qualities, aspiration, psychological patterns, spiritual crisis, awakening of consciousness, business, naming babies, blah, blah, blah.
Loads of things there, Sonia. It's so exciting, and I love, because numbers, we use them every single day. They're in our every single day life, but, it's whether we want to tap into that power of numerology. So can anyone, Sonia, tap into that power of numerology?
It's a good question, because numbers are always working through that, because they're energy. Numbers are energy. They're moving energy. So the energy is always working through us. So in effect, we're also always clocking numbers, but we're not aware that we're doing it. So, for example, yes, everybody can work with numbers. Even if you're not a numerologist, you can gaze at a number and just quietly focus on it. And it will give you information. It will tap in with your subconscious, and you tap into the subconscious information behind that number, and you will gain wisdom or knowledge. And you might not even, people do it all the time, they're just not aware they're doing it. So they're constantly communicating, giving us messages. But it's so simple because, for example, one's focus, ambition, go-getting, pioneering, courage, leadership, vitality, energy, new beginnings, so there are basic qualities assigned to each numbers, but it's about connecting, it's about your relationship to the number and how it speaks to you. So that's the most important thing, what it communicates to you. But it's a very simple, you don't need to be a mathematician to practice numerology. You just need to know your date of birth and to be able to be open and receptive to your mind and your soul and intuition, and to listen to yourself. Because you have to, people have to trust what they're picking up or what they're connecting with in that number.
They do. They definitely do, and that connects to every kind of spiritual matter there. To be open to what's to come. So, Sonia, we've got to talk about your new book, A Practical Introduction to Numerology. I mean, first of all, what was the inspiration for the book, Sonia?
To make it accessible for everybody, but actually the concept was like a coffee table book. Like when people, you go out socially and say, what do you say, numerology? And say, oh, what's that about? Or how does it help me? Or do you know, how does it affect my child? So it's a natural thing. You get asked millions of these questions. And so all those questions are in the book, the kind of questions that people would ask around a coffee table, to make it simple. Because sometimes simplicity is soul. Simplicity is inclusivity. Simplicity means everyone can connect with it. And that really is a key mark of me. I think I'm quite a simple person. I'm quite a straightforward.
Well, that's it, though. I mean, you
maybe
can't...
my friends wouldn't say that, but
no, Sonia.
I'm very open and direct. So that's the way I communicate, very open and direct, and people can read. But it's not about me. It's about them connecting with the numbers and them connecting with themselves. It really isn't. So it's just to make it simple, really, and accessible.
And it really does. I mean, because I always think, when people mention numerology, like me personally, I've not had the best relationship with maths and numbers. So when, I come in to connect with numerology, I'm like, oh, no, it's got numbers in it. I don't want anything to do with it. But your book, it really helped me connect with numbers again, but in a way I can kind of understand on a spiritual level, which I just absolutely love.
That's wonderful to hear. And of course, I was just working out your name, Keep It Spiritual, and it adds up to a 70. So I think you've got because a 7 is the number for spirituality, introspection, personal development, inner work, stillness, peace, meditation, manifestation, and its nature. You've really chosen the best potential name for your work there.
I love that. But this next question as well has got the number 7 in it, so it must be a theme. I mean, I absolutely love chapter 7 in the book. How do numbers related to dates influence my everyday life? That's the chapter. I mean, I was fascinated by that because you do see numbers every single day. So how do they influence, our everyday life, Sonia?
Because they are cycles. So imagine we're quote little humans. There's a whole universe out there. You've got to put it into perspective. So there's a whole universe, and then there are other universes, and that's all those planets. If you want to look at it practically, they're planets that are moving, that are cycles. Excuse me. And then when you bring that down to everyday level, we get up, we have repetition, we make breakfast, we do this, we work, we go to bed, we do this, we do that. Everything is cycles. So it's about these numbers or energies, the date, for example, the collective date today, which is the 30th of the 4th, 2020. The energy in that overall date will influence everybody on the planet today. Okay, and then we all have our individual numbers within that. We have our day numbers, that's personality, behavior. We have our life path, our inner soul aspiration. And so how we relate to the overriding energies of that day is different for all of us, but we all react or act in a similar way because we're all the same. Nothing's new. We're not reinventing the wheel. We are all intrinsically connected, and we're all the same. Love, compassion, service, kindness, family, providing, practicality, earning money. Cycles are all the same. So, but it's how those collective dates are very, very potent. So, for example, an example of this would be, how many people have planned their holidays this year already, booked last year? What's happened? We've got a pandemic. What's happened? Life has changed intrinsically. So all those holidays have been cancelled, or let's say postponed. All our events, all our experiences, even getting married, even funerals were cancelled at some point, or are still in some parts of the world. So the pandemic is a bigger energy, 22/4, the year number 2020, is influencing everybody. But how each country is like a unit within a whole, how we deal with that bigger energy is according to our level of consciousness, is according to our psychological patterns. Why do we get angry about this? Why do some people not want to wear face masks and others say wear face masks? It's according to the energy vibration of our country, our city, And then you've got influences like our soul group that we're born into, our level of consciousness. So it's, but basically numbers are always influencing us. Yes, always.
They really are, and I love that they are there, Sonia, as well. And of course, you also teach and you practice the esoteric deck as well. How is that different from normal tarot, Sonia?
Well, we're focusing highly on the number, of course, which is the number in the tarot, and the esoteric is connecting with the journey of the initiate, the journey of the soul. So it's from beginning to end of how somebody goes through the process of spiritual awakening, which is that great word, initiation, or waking up spiritually to a higher level of consciousness. So what that means really is bringing out the very best in people, the soul, the hero, the soul, following the inner path. Because I think that's one thing that people have, and esoteric and Knason school, that's what we focus on, where I teach. And I think what people have realised, you're reading it, of course, as well, that they're more focused on values now. They say, oh, I'll never be focused on this anymore. It was irrelevant. I can't believe I did that in my life because it's just so unimportant. And when we come out of lockdown, when we come out of this situation and we move on, people will be more focusing on the inner soul journey, the journey of spiritual awakening, and what brings them inner satisfaction, what brings more love into their lives, more love into their community, more compassion, more caring, thinking of others more, putting others first, thinking of the group. So esoteric really means the awakening of the soul, and that is what's happening in terms of consciousness to the whole planet, particularly all the time, but particularly this year.
Interesting, very, very interesting with that. Yeah, I was really intrigued to find out what that was, Sonia, so thank you for that. So, back to the book, A Practical Introduction to Numerology, Sonia. I mean, when a person's read it, how do you want them to feel?
I don't have any intent for what they will get out of the book, because for everybody it's going to be something different. It might be more intellectual understandings. It might be like what you said, I feel more comfortable in my skin. With the numbers, in other words, within myself. Or it might be emotionally that they can relate to people better. Wow, I now understand why my boss is like that, or why my daughter's experiencing those emotions. And for some people, it would take them on a journey where they'd want to know more. So I guess if there was, I don't project, there's no projection about what I want, what I would like. It's just really to inspire and uplift people to connecting to their true self or their soul. Yes, that is the actual aspiration. And therefore, yes, some people who read the book want to go deeper. So they contact us, they come to the school, they come to training for a reading, and then they go deep and they've discovered something. And like me, I've been practicing numerology 27 years. It feels like day one. I'm serious. Every time I look at something in a different way, I think, wow, it's literally like looking at numerology for the first time, because you're seeing it from a different point of view, a different, different consciousness, a different aware. Just you grow in life and you see things differently.
Definitely you do, Sonia, with that, you do, which I absolutely love, and that's what it's all about. And you hit the nail on the head with the book. For me, I found it very inspirational, but it's kind of helped me get my head around, what numerology is on a basic level, which, if I wanted to, then you can go and delve in deeper.
Yes, that's right. Or start writing down numbers yourself. You don't need to, you can just start noticing dates and what happens on the news, write down each day, or just notice dates, as I said, that are important to you. If you got married on, say, the 26th of the month, on the number 26s might speak to you very loudly in life. You'll see, my tax number adds up to telephone number has 26. So there's repetition of movement, and those numbers then say, wow, you've got to look at what that message is. What is the message within those numbers? And that triggers off the inner questioning, the inner development, the inner work, so that we find our path. But it's great fun as well. It's esoteric. Looking at numerology from a soul perspective means you get much more detail with the personality and the everyday details. But a lot of people, in fact most people, use numerology just to look at the details, and that's still great because it's fun, it's uplifting, it gives people information, it's amazing. People are totally magnetized by how, it's just spot on. But remember, it's not about being right. It's always about the process, it's not about the end result.
Oh, thank you for that, Sonia. So last question for yourself. What do you love most about numerology?
For me, the most important aspect of numerology is oneness, is wholeness, is connecting humanity as one, so that it's inclusivity. It's us recognizing that we're all the same. We're all. It's the unification process and brotherhood. It's awakening people to be their better self. So I think that's what it is for me.
Oh, Sonia, well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to find out about numerology and, of course, yourself and your journey. Thank you so much, Sonia Ducie, for being on Keep It Spiritual. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Have a great day.
That was the fabulous Sonia Ducie right there. Remember, if you want to know anything more about Sonia Ducie, I'll pick up a fabulous new book, which is called A Practical Guide to Numerology. It's in the description below. Now, I've got to say thank you so much for watching Keep It Spiritual with myself, Chris Meredith. Remember to give us a massive thumbs up and you hit that subscription right now, because you don't want to miss a video. Of course you don't. Until next time, this has been Keep It Spiritual, and I'll see you later.